KCIM Sports presents the Pizza Ranch Saturday Morning Coaches Show with Sports Director Jeff Blankman.
Thank you very much, John, and good Saturday morning, everybody, and welcome here to the Pizza Ranch Coaches Show on this February the 24th. We're going to be wrapping up the season with a couple of our area coaches as their season came to an end this week. We'll talk with Randy Beeson with the Carroll boys basketball team. We'll also talk with Katie Cook with the Carroll girls basketball team. We're also going to be talking with Sean Minahan of the Kemper boys basketball team. They're still in action. They'll be playing later tonight. I'll have more of that at the close of the show. You can also hear some about their matchup with Grundy Center coming up in the show, which is going to get underway here in just a couple of moments. So thanks for tuning in here. Again, this is our final Pizza Ranch Coaches Show of the winter sports season. So again, we'll talk Sean Minahan when we come back. That's next right here on KCIM.
Hi, this is Dr. Rick Gotting. Join me here on KCIM at 10 o'clock on Sunday mornings where I talk about orthopedics and whatever else really comes to mind. We have a good time on the show, and we would like to invite you to join us.
Listen this Sunday morning at 10 a.m. right here on KCIM for the St. Anthony Hospital Orthopedics Show with Dr. Rick Gotting. For more information about St. Anthony Orthopedics, go to stanthonyhospital.org or call 794-5536.
Lens Insurance and Grinnell Mutual are committed to our local farmers and to supporting all they have invested in their equipment and their land. Count on us to help you be prepared for this year and all it will bring. Together, we can trust in tomorrow. Contact Lens Insurance, your local Grinnell Mutual agent, at 792-1700 today.
Trust in Tomorrow is a registered trademark of Grinnell Mutual Reinsurance Company.
We're back here on the Pizza Ranch Coaches Show on this Saturday morning, talking right now with Kemper boys basketball coach Sean Minahan. They had that tremendous comeback earlier this week against South Central Calhoun to advance into a sub-state final tonight, played over at Boone. It is going to be a 7:30 start for anybody that looked originally. It's been bumped back a half an hour, and we'll talk to Sean about that here in just a moment, but we'll have everything covered for you on Kick 106.7. Sean, appreciate you joining us here. I know it's a busy day for you, so thanks very much for the time here. Congratulations on getting into another sub-state and on that tremendous comeback on Tuesday night.
Yeah, thank you. It was a lot of fun. I'm just glad to, have you there covering it. So for people that weren't able to make it, and probably get a sense of the drama that was happening.
We'll start with the 17-0 run. I think everybody that has mentioned something to me about that game has says, how do you outscore somebody 17-0, to end a ball game, to win by one? I've told them what I thought. Let's talk to you about it. You're the one that had the team that did it.
Yeah, it started with defense. We had some good full court not man pressure. We ran some full court zone in the first half. And, I thought that limited them pretty decent in the first half. Third quarter, we went half court, man defense, and they were able to kind of have their way. Fourth quarter, just kind of a desperation move. We had to go full court man, look to try to trap out of it. And, we created some turnovers, and then they rushed some shots. I think they probably took shots quicker than they really wanted to. And we were able to limit them on second chance opportunities, and then offensively just push tempo, and we got some shots to fall, and we were able to get to the rim a little bit better.
Coach, and I thought the really key thing for you guys as well, so many guys stepped up. Michael Kaspavar had some key threes. I thought Carson Caney was tremendous all game long, especially finding guys. But Tragan Biter, a couple of huge defensive plays, hit a three for you. And then, Brock Bading stepped up and drilled a couple of back-to-back threes to get you within one. Carter Putney kind of took over rebounding inside. So this wasn't one guy kind of bringing you back. This was an entire team effort.
Yeah, that's kind of our starters all really stepped up into big roles, and then Jack Bading even had a crucial stop for us. He came in, applied some pressure, and they ended up when they inbounded the ball, Jack was on him, and they ended up catching it with the foot on that out of bounds line. So, just all those guys really stepped up and kind of contributed. Michael, that was his best shooting game since. Really, ESAC. He had 2 threes against ESAC, and but he hadn't been shooting the ball the way he's capable of. So it was really nice to see him knock down some shots for us.
What did South Central Calhoun do so effectively throughout the first three quarters and into the fourth to be able to build a 16-point lead?
They were just efficient. They used their size well. They rebounded really, really well. So if they did miss it, they were able to, be in position. I think Bata, a couple times Gavin missed his shot and was able to get the ball back and then put it back in. The Burnquist kid did a good job on the baseline. Sword was really athletic, rebounding all night long. He pushed the ball in transition a couple of times on us. And then Cole Higgins was really, really good in the third quarter. He was getting into that mid-range jumper, and, he used his length to shoot over our guards. We had, he's 6'3" with long arms, and we, guys guard him are under 6 foot tall, and he was able to get to his shot, and it really gave us a tough time. And then, when the Anderson kid hit that three, I was not feeling the most confident, and that was right at the beginning of the fourth quarter. But out of a timeout, we switched some stuff up, and the rest was kind of history.
Coach, you mentioned their length. They were able to get a lot of offensive rebounds early, but was it effort? What was it that last 4.5 minutes? I don't remember an offensive rebound for them to close out that game.
Yeah, it really came down to effort and just the guys weren't ready for the season to be over. Just everything was kind of out of the desperation. Ideally, we don't put ourselves in that situation early, and we don't have to rely on it doing it from a desperation standpoint. But our guys, they did what they needed to do. So I could not be more happy for them than how we responded to some pretty extreme adversity.
Coach, what's the atmosphere been like in practice since that win to get ready for the game coming up later tonight over at Boone?
Really good. Wednesday we just focused on our shooting and shot the ball really, really well. Thursday we didn't shoot the ball quite as well, but it was more of a think day where we're trying to go through more specifically what Grundy Center does offensively and defensively in matchups. So, we're doing a little bit more thinking, and then, Friday we're able to get after it and get things looking crisp and ready to go for tonight.
What are you looking at with this ball club? You and I were chatting off the air, and you made it kind of known that this is a really good ball club. They're 19-3, just like you guys, so this is a really good ball club you're going to be seeing.
Yeah, they're the most complete team, I think, as far as their starters and then into their bench that we've seen in a couple years now. They have height. All their starters are 6'1" or taller, up to 6'6". They're really long and athletic. They're aggressive on offensive rebounds. They cut and move really, really well. They hunt for mismatches really, really well. And then defensively, they use their length. They're going to play half-court man defense. They'll mix in a couple of different looks for you. But their bread and butter is half-court man defense. So the thing that we like about that is that's where we're most comfortable. That's what we've seen the most this year. We did struggle a little bit a couple of games now against some length and the 2-3, which is, disappointing as a shooting team. You usually want to see the 2-3. We didn't shoot the ball quite the way we're capable of, but hopefully we can, spread them out and get more aggressive at playing east and west, get the defense moving east and west, and that'll open up some gaps and let us get downhill to the rim.
Would it surprise you at all, that even though their bread and butter is man-to-man, to see how you guys have maybe struggled against zone and show some of that against you?
No, it's this time of year you can't let anything surprise you. Maybe they could whether they throw a junk at you, if they want to go box and one, diamond one, or whatever. Trying to take Brock away. They ran half-court man defense, but then they took away AP, Appalachian Parkersburg. That's who they beat in their district final, to take away their shooters. Now, one of them still ended up scoring 30 points. So, that's what I told Brock. I told him to, watch that game and focus on how they guarded their shooters, because that's how they're going to guard you, and he's looking forward to the challenge.
Coach, you mentioned that you've seen some teams with length and they're going to have it. How much does it benefit you to kind of face that, especially like with South Central Calhoun earlier this week, to kind of get a little bit more practice against that length that you might see tonight?
Yeah, I mean, that's huge for us. That's the one thing we can't really replicate from a scout team standpoint. Our scout team doesn't have a lot of size. I mean, we have one guy in our scout team that's over 6 foot tall, so it can't really replicate that in the practice setting. But we've been the smaller team literally every game all year, so it's one of those things we shouldn't be expected or surprised by the fact that the other team happens to be bigger than us, because that's what we've seen all year.
Coach, I mentioned earlier 7:30 start. Youth tournament, you said, going to be going on in Boone. They needed, sounds like, a little bit more time to kind of get everything switched over.
Yep, yeah. So, they're just running a youth tournament, and they just wanted to be able to get everything switched over and set up for our game. So, that's 30-minute later start time. So, instead of 7, they just bumped it back to 7:30. And either way, it's going to be good for us, and guys will be ready to go tonight.
Well, Coach, as always, fun to catch up with you. I'll looking forward to chatting with you after the game coming up later on tonight. So, best of luck. Appreciate you joining us here, and we'll see you a little bit later on this evening.
Yeah, thank you. Appreciate it, and we'll see you tonight.
You bet. Head coach Sean Minahan again with the Kemper Boys basketball team, back with more from the Pizza Ranch Coaches Show right here on KCIM.
Here at Pizza Ranch, we love our basketball, just like you love everyone's favorite buffet. Hot, fresh pizza, the country's best chicken, fresh, cool salad bar, and dessert options that are so good, it's like sinking the winning shot at the buzzer. Pizza Ranch is a perfect meal option every day of the week. And to make it even sweeter, we have extended hours every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Whoa, that's good.
Pizza Ranch, located just off Highway 30 in Carroll, open 7 days a week.
Ready to fuel your career with a company that's making a difference? Look to Poet Bioprocessing in Coon Rapids. They're looking for a skilled plant operator to join their team. Get started with a generous sign-on bonus, plus competitive compensation based on your experience, comprehensive benefits, and a 401k match. Apply online now at poet.com/Coon Rapids.
We're back here on the Pizza Ranch Coaches Show, wrapping up the outstanding season for the Carroll Tiger boys basketball team as they pushed number 2 ADM on Thursday night on the road in their sub-state semifinal. Joining us right now is head coach Randy Beeson. And coach, as always, appreciate all the time.
Yeah, good to talk with you, Jeff.
You bet, Coach. Hopefully we were talking and still had another week to go, but what an effort for your guys and you on Thursday night. You're up 7 in the fourth quarter against, the number 2 ranked team on their court. You really kind of had them out of sync for a lot of that game, but they heated up from you on the three-point line in the fourth quarter and able to tie it, and then took a lead and were able to hit enough free throws down the stretch, and a valiant effort by you and your guys, but it fell just a little bit short.
Yeah, our guys were great, actually. We came into that game with a lot of confidence and played really good basketball for 3.5 quarters pretty much. And defensively, we were really good, did a really good job of not giving them easy ones. And offensively, we got out and scored in transition a little bit. But, we talked about getting some extra opportunities of going to the offensive glass, and I think we had 9 offensive rebounds in the first half against them. And the first 2 times we had played them, that wasn't the case. They out-rebounded us and kind of took it to us on the glass. So our guys responded well in the first half and did a really good job on the glass and just played good team basketball. And second half, third quarter, we struggled to score, but we were still solid defensively, and we're still in the game going the fourth. And like you said, we banked in a 3 to go up 37-30 with about 5.5, 6 minutes to go, and definitely had opportunities to win the game down the stretch. But they had some big threes laid and made their free throws down the stretch. So a tough loss from our guys, but I couldn't be more proud of the effort and the energy that they brought all night.
Yeah, you mentioned the energy. That was the biggest thing I noticed. You and I were talking, during the commercial break before we got on the air here, that you guys' offensive rebounds last night in the first half, I thought was what kept you guys in the lead, and a lot of that was you guys just wanted the ball more than they did. It seemed like early on.
Yeah, we were outstanding. I mean, we had 2 or 3 guys down there. And that's tough to do against them because they're so good at getting out and running and scoring in transition, and they got really good three-point shooters. And So we knew that if we weren't getting offensive rebounds, we were going to have to sprint back. And the first 2 times we played them, I think we were more worried about getting back instead of just being relentless and going and getting that basketball. And you're right, we probably missed a few too many around the basket to give ourselves that many opportunities. But our guys were there to clean it up and help each other out. And if they couldn't get it themselves, they were tipping it to a teammate. And so really good job on the offensive glass in the first half. And that's just, offensive rebound's all about effort and, working a little bit harder than the guy that's trying to box you out. And like I said, couldn't be more proud of the guys' effort and the guys' commitment to preparing and being ready for that game. And we had a great crowd following, and the student section was great. And we got up 37-30 there in the fourth quarter, and we got a standing ovation. Everyone's going crazy. It's a loud environment. So a lot of fun to play in that game. It's just unfortunate that we couldn't find a way to pull that game out because the guys played super hard, played their tails off all game. So it's a tough one to take. You never want to lose that last one, but super proud of our guys' effort.
Coach, you had mentioned earlier that they had kind of won the rebound battle against you guys the first 2 matchups. I was a little surprised, had not seen either one of those games. That I thought last night through most of the game they didn't really attack the offensive glass. Was that different than the first 2 matchups?
Well, the Rakowski kid, their 5-man, kind of dominated the first couple times we played him. He did a really nice job on Evan and made it tough for him to score. And it seemed like he got every rebound. I think last time we played him, he had 7 or 8 offensive rebounds himself, 15 rebounds for the game, something like that. And so they don't have much size, but that kid, 6'4", post player, big and strong and athletic, really did a good job. And he actually was the one that limited us in the second half.
Yep.
He cleaned up on the defensive glass, getting a bunch of those rebounds. So, them as a team, the Bright kid's a really good shooter. He's really developed into not just being a three-point shooter, but getting inside and rebounding as well. So they have a little length there. But besides that, they don't have very overly tall guards or tall post players. So those 2 guys did a really good job, which made it tough for us in the second half. But, the first 2 games, the Rakowski kid kind of cleaned up for everybody on the glass. But once again, give our guys credit. They competed and battled on the rebounding edge, and I haven't seen final stats on where we were with the rebounding, but our guys worked their tails off all game.
Coach, let's bounce back. You had 2 games this last week. You played Monday as well over at Denison to open up the sub-state. Dominant performance, really took over. I thought after getting down early with Denison hitting 3 different threes and all of them kind of from deep with different guys, you guys took over on the defensive end, got some tips, got out in transition. I know it was only a 2-point lead for you at the end of the first quarter, but I felt at that point you were in control of the game, and then you really blew it open the second quarter.
Yeah, we played really well against Denison as well. They hit, I think, 4 threes in the first quarter, but 3 right off the bat, and we got down 13-3, 13-4. But our guys, they never wavered. They kept on just playing good defense, and we got on ran a little bit and got some good looks. And, we keep saying threes aren't going to beat you. You just got to protect the paint and force enough jumpers. And we did a much better job of that there after that, the first little stretch. And sometimes when those guys hit their first 3 of the night, in the back of my mind, I'm thinking, all right, that's a good thing. They'll just keep on shooting. And as long as we rebound those long threes, that'll be a good thing for us. And, they had 3 different guys hit them. And a couple of those guys I don't think made very many the rest of the night. But our guys played really well. You always want to be playing your best basketball towards the end of the season. And that game especially, first round of districts, a lot of guys that haven't been in that position, haven't played that type of basketball, knowing that it's if you lose, you're done. And it was fun to see them come out and play good defense, and the energy and excitement was great there too. We had a great crowd, and they really fed off of that, and we played a really solid basketball game, full game that night against Denison.
Coach, you guys started the year 5-0. As we take a look back kind of at the season, you got that big win in your opener against Kemper, then knocked off Gilbert at home, beat North Polk, played a good Storm Lake team and got by them, and then went on the road and beat a good Winterset team that I think still playing. If I remember right, they won on Thursday night. So really nice start to the season for you guys.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. Coming in the year, you never know. I mean, you feel like what you see at practice is going to be good enough to beat teams, but you never really know until you start playing the games. And that Kemper game is always a big one, and we knew that they were going to have a really nice team. So finding a way to win that one on a buzzer beater was a fun start to the season. And then you get into some of those conference games, and you feel like, man, North Polk's going to be okay, and Gilbert's going to be okay, and we found a way to win those. And you start off going 5-0, and you're like, man, all right, I thought we could be okay, but I didn't realize it would be like this already. So we had some really good wins early on, and we got off to a hot start.
Coach, you started getting some illnesses and some injuries. Is that what impacted this team, or what happened there kind of in that mid part of December as you guys slumped it just a little bit going into the break?
Yeah, I mean, it's like we talked about Thursday night after the game. I mean, I've never had a season where so many illnesses and people being sick and missing games. I've never had it where so many kids have been affected by that. It's just kind of a strange thing. Jared Getmano was out after the first game until after Christmas. So we had to make some adjustments there, and then just other guys, and even some of the games that we might have had most of our team, they weren't quite right. They were sick. They showed up because they didn't really want to miss a game. And even after Christmas, we got a lot of those guys back. Jared came back, but it seemed like with rescheduled games, we had a lot of games in a short stretch, and guys still aren't feeling quite well. But you can point your fingers and say, yeah, we were sick, and that's why our record was what it was. But every team's going through some adversity. So our guys did a good job. All those games we ran into a tough stretch there where we lost a lot of games, and but we weren't playing terrible basketball. We were playing 3.5 quarters of pretty good basketball against some really good teams in our conference, and just couldn't find a way to finish the games. Teams got hot in the fourth quarter, and we struggled to score in the fourth quarter, and for whatever reason that was, it seemed to happen quite often. And but I think that's a testament to our conference. We got some really good conference schools. Winterset is still playing. They were a 1 seed in their district. ADM, obviously, as you know, is ranked second, and we lost 3 games on the year. Bondurant is a 2 seed in our district, and they're playing each other coming up. So Ballard beat whoever they played by about 40 points on Thursday. So we got some really good teams in our conference, and there's no games off. And even Gilbert, who we lost to the second time, has a really nice team, and they get out and run, and they play fast, and they average about 65 points a game, 70 points. And you look at our schedule and look at our record and go, man, they really struggled this year. But I don't think that really shows how good of a basketball team we were by looking at our record, because we competed in all those games, and we were right there. And, a couple breaks here and there, that record's quite a bit different. And I know every team can say that, but our guys battled and competed, and we had a tough stretch of rescheduled games. We were playing a lot of games in a short amount of days, and we just finally needed a break there towards the end. And like we talked about before, you always want to be playing your best basketball at the end of the season, and I was really hoping that was going to come at some point, because we had still lost some games there towards the end. But the Harlan game was great. We went on the road and played really good basketball, played really good defensively, and we continued that on to the Denison game. And as you saw against ADM, our guys were ready. They were ready to compete and play well, and we put a couple games there of really good basketball together. So, it's unfortunate for those seniors because they did everything we asked all year long, and put us in a good position there down the stretch to win those games. And it's unfortunate because you lose a bunch of games throughout the regular season, then all of a sudden you're not a 2 or 3 seed, you're a 5 seed, and you're playing against some better teams, and you run out against the number 2 team in the state and the team that's only lost 2 or 3 times, and instead of having a little easier path to get there. But give our guys credit, and seniors especially, for putting us in that position to win that game the other night.
Coach, you mentioned your conference. I'm just going to run through here. In a 10-day span, 10-day span, you guys played DCG, you played Winterset, Ballard, ADM, and Bondurant. I'd like to see any team go through a stretch of those 5 games in 9-10 days and see what their record is coming out of there. You mentioned the Harlan game. I look at that one. Maybe I didn't get to see it. The Kemper game, the way you guys played the other night against Dennis and Schleswig, those are the 3 that come to my mind. Maybe the game against Winterset early for you guys. But when you look back at the season, which game do you stands out as this is the team I thought we could have this year?
Well, it's crazy. It's crazy to think about because we went to Glenwood for our pride scrimmage, before we even played Kemper, and we made 10 threes in the first half. And my brother's an assistant coach there at AD at Glenwood, and we just kind of laughed about it afterwards, going, man, I didn't think we'd really be a 3-point shooting team. We go out there, we play fast, we beat them by 30. Make 10 threes in the first half, and I'm going, holy cow, is this who we are? Then we won a lot of games where we only made 3 threes in a game, and I'm going, man, this is crazy. But you're right. I mean, that Kemper game was a lot of fun. It's always a fun game. I think our kids will remember that one for a long time. Hitting that game winner at the end, Evan Hammer.
Yep.
I mean, that was a lot of fun. There's a few conference games in there that the win at Winterset on the road I thought was a big win for us early on, and that was without Jared being in there. So, but yeah, you get to that tough stretch. You play DCG, and we were okay in the first quarter, and that thing got ugly real quick, and they're a really good team. And we knew that stretch was going to be tough. We tried to reschedule games where it wasn't going to have to be in that stretch. We tried to move games around, and then, with the weather, you start running out of dates of when to do it, and you're not canceling those games, so you just got to play them when it works for both teams. And but I think, fighting through that, we tell the guys all the time, right? Like, basketball is supposed to teach you some life lessons.
Yep.
You're going to have to fight through some adversity. Things aren't going to go your way. Unfortunately, we had a lot of those conversations during that stretch of, hey, you got to fight through it. Life's not fair sometimes. Basketball's not fair sometimes. You got to find a way to keep competing and playing together as a team and finding a way. So, going to Harlan that night, Harlan's always well coached. Coach Osborne does a great job. He's been there forever. It's always a fun one to play against, just from me being there and playing basketball there. But I thought our guys were great, and they always came to practice every single day with the confidence, with the energy, with the excitement of, hey, we need to keep getting better and doing the little things. And that doesn't happen on all teams, and having the senior leadership of Evan Hammer and Peyton Wardell, those guys coming to practice and getting after people and challenging people and pushing people and saying, hey, we're not just here just because it's another practice. We got to find a way to keep getting better. And you can't say enough about those guys.
Yep.
Caden Langling being a senior, Will Schultes, Caleb Vanderheiden, all those guys are difference makers, and they're guys that were passionate and wanted to succeed and wanted to have a successful year. And, some of those guys played more than others, and it didn't matter. They came to practice every day with the mindset of, how can I help on my team, and how can I make our team better? And you can't say enough about those kids. And, at the end of the day, of course, you want to keep winning games. You want to have a successful record and all that stuff. But at the end of the day, you want to teach kids life lessons on how to be a good person and how to get into the real world and make a difference. And being able to come to practice every day and compete and have the right attitude and be a good teammate when things aren't going your way. And losing a bunch of games right in a row of games that you feel like you should have won. I mean, those are tough stretches, and it's very easy to start pointing fingers and saying, man, I should be playing more, I should be doing stuff. It's not fair. We had none of that. So those guys stepped up, and they were huge. And, it's a great sign for the underclassmen like Jared Moore and Mac and Stone and, Carter Essick and Noah Hennard, some guys that stepped up here at the end of the year and did some nice things. Blake Walensky, we'll look forward to what he can do next year. So we have a lot of guys that I think learned a lot of valuable lessons this year, and that's what you want. And hopefully it's just an opportunity to keep learning and growing and keep getting better.
Yeah, Coach, you're going to lose a great group of seniors, but like you said, you just kind of ran through some of the names of guys that I think all got valuable experience, and I've heard a lot about that sophomore group kind of as a whole, and I'm sure we'll see more of those guys next year. For that team coming back, what's the focus for you that you want them to do here in the off season to be kind of ready to go?
Yeah, I mean, it's always – we want to be better basketball players, right? And you got to be better scorers. You got to be better shooters. We need to make more shots. Games that we lost this year, we struggled to make outside shots. So we need some guys that can step in and be consistent, making outside shots, shoot a better percentage. But we also need guys that are able to get to the basket. You can't just be a spot up 3-point shooter. You got to be able to attack the basket and do some things too. So. I think we got a good mix of that. Once again, it helps when you can pass it. It helps when you can be more athletic. So getting in the weight room, putting in your time there is only going to help you be a better athlete. And, we got sophomore class. We got some juniors too that we'll expect big things out of. And, like I said, Carter Essick, Noah Henners got some minutes there late in the year and really showed what they can do as well as far as just passing the basketball and making plays and doing some things. So, the cupboard's not bare. It's not like, oh man, now we got a couple of years where we're going to have to rebuild and do some things. I think our underclassmen are going to be ready to go, and they know that they got big shoes to fill. I mean, I can't say enough about Evan Hammer being a 3-year starter and the leadership that he brought, and just being a good teammate, and always being that guy that's clapping his hands and getting people fired up, and not yelling at people but coaching and teaching. And he was kind of like an assistant coach on our team as far as just being that guy that people look up to. And Peyton Wardell, same way. I mean, you think of what he accomplished this year at 6 foot or however tall he is, being a post player, being a point guard, being a wing player, doing a little bit of everything, but just the determination of what he was able to do on the offensive glass and games and getting to the basket. I mean, all those little things.
Yep.
A lot of times people think that you got to score a lot of points in order to play basketball, or you got to score a lot of points in order to make a difference on a team. And he's definitely a kid that you look at and go, man, there's so many intangibles that he brought to our team that, that people don't quite see and don't recognize. So, so everyone brings a little bit. Caden Langling did such a nice job, of the scorer and the shooter. He can really fill it up. He had a couple games where he scored 25, 27 points in a game. So he's one of those guys that we knew could get going as well. And Will Schultes, got hot there towards the end of the year and came off the bench, and a really good 3-point shooter and could do that for us. And Caleb Vayner, and you need guys like that too that will just show up and work hard in practice and be a good teammate and cheer everybody on and get our guys better. Evan needed someone to beat up on every day of practice, and Caleb was that guy. He'd get Evan better.
Yep.
So you need seniors like that to do that. And like I said, those underclassmen hopefully can learn from that and hopefully keep getting better and get ready for a fun year next year.
Coach, I'm glad you brought that up, because I mentioned in the game Thursday night that Evan's not the biggest guy in the world, but he seems to be able to fight through physicality down in the post to be able to score. That makes sense why now, because he practices every day against Caleb.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, Caleb's such a great kid.
Yes.
He's a great football player. He's going to go play in the Shrine game. And
deservingly
just a great kid. And, we'll do everything we ask. He'll play with the varsity guys. And I'll say, hey, can you go be on the scout team because I need you to simulate this guy from this team? And he was the perfect Rykowski, getting prepared for the ADM game as far as just being a big body and getting rebounds and not letting Evan get around him. And, so you need guys on your team like that. And you need guys that will embrace that and be a good teammate and do what is asked of you. And, his mindset was always, whatever you need me to do, however I can help out my team, I'll do it. So once again, I feel like I've said it a million times, but you can't say enough about kids like that.
Right.
In the world today, there's more and more you see on social media about kids all being about themselves, and if it's not what's best for them, then they don't want to be a part of it. And we got great kids and kids that are just willing to be great teammates and do whatever they can to help out the team. So I can't say enough about, and not just the seniors, but everyone in our program. Practices were always fun. Practices were always competitive, and that's the way to get better. The younger guys get better because they see that every day. And so you need good seniors that have good leadership like that, but then you also need underclassmen that are willing to work hard and go, man, I'm not quite good enough, and I got to keep showing up every day and working hard. And when my time comes, I'll be ready. And I think we got some juniors and some sophomores that they'll be ready next year, so it should be fun.
Well, Coach, as always, we thank you for everything. I don't think people realize that, we pester you guys a lot, but it doesn't matter if you're driving back from Carlisle or North Polk or Bondurant, Farrar, what time it is that you get back. You always get us stats in the email, and you always take care of what we need to be able to cover you guys. And you don't know how much that really appreciates us, for us to appreciate you guys for doing that, because I know how many hours you work and how late everything gets. So thank you for everything. Thanks for all the interviews throughout the season as well. And we look forward to, I'm sure I'll see you at a soccer game or a golf meet or something here soon. But we look forward to catching up with you soon and waiting for next year.
Yeah, thanks, Jeff. I appreciate it. And same to you. We appreciate all you do and your coverage. And I know there's a lot of late nights where it's late nights for us talking to you, but you still got an hour or two after we get done talking to you that you're doing your stuff. So we appreciate all the coverage and all you do for the kids. At the end of the day, we want to give kids positive experiences, and you're a big part of that, too, of recognizing them and getting their stuff out there. So I appreciate all you do.
You bet. Thank you, Coach. Head coach Randy Beeson again with the Carroll boys basketball team. We'll be back. We'll talk Carroll girls basketball. Katie Cook set to join us next year on the Pizza Ranch Coaches Show.
Here at Pizza Ranch, we love our basketball. Just like you love everyone's favorite buffet. Hot, fresh pizza, the country's best chicken, fresh, cool salad bar, and dessert options that are so good, it's like sinking the winning shot at the buzzer. Pizza Ranch is a perfect meal option every day of the week. And to make it even sweeter, we have extended hours every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Whoa, that's good.
Pizza Ranch, located just off Highway 30 in Carroll, open 7 days a week.
This American Heart Month, remember to schedule a cardiac calcium scoring test with Stewart Memorial Community Hospital in Lake City. This non-invasive 10-minute CT scan can determine the location and extent of plaque buildup in the coronary arteries. If you have coronary artery disease risk factors, even without symptoms, get screened before it's too late. Call Stewart Memorial Radiology at 712-464-4207 to learn more. Choose excellence. Choose Stewart Memorial.
Back here on the Pizza Ranch Coaches Show, talking some Carroll girls basketball as we wrap up the season with head coach Katie Cook. Tigers again an outstanding year this year, going 12-10 overall and 8-7 in a conference. And I said this to Katie during the commercial break, folks, that if you go above 500 in this conference, that's a really strong year. So, Coach, I appreciate you joining us here today, and congratulations really on a fantastic season.
Thanks, Jeff.
You bet. Now, we got to start with that game last Saturday. I know the first half is not anything anybody wants to talk about. Just could not get shots to fall in. If I remember right, Lewis Central came out, hitting a lot of things. But you guys flipped the script there in the second half, actually beat them in the second half, and were the better team out on the court in the second half.
Right. Which I'd, like to cling to that. But unfortunately, you don't get to redo the first half. And
yep.
We ran out of time basically. But Lewis Central's a great team. They went on and made it to state. So hopefully we can, we have a good nucleus coming back next year, and hopefully we can keep that in the back of our mind that we need to be ready to go when the stakes are high.
Coach, one thing that you can certainly take away, and I think it was this way all year, this group of girls, they never quit. They fought all the time. I mean, I hate to say it, but you're on the road. You're down 31-6 at halftime. And there's a lot of
even adults that are going to roll over and just get through the second half and let it be done. But to come out and outplay them in the second half says a lot about the character of this group of girls.
Oh, I think so too. They're a gritty group. They're a tough group. And it just, the fact that they have no quit in them, it speaks to a lot about the kind of people that they are. When they don't feel like doing it even for themselves, they will dig in and they'll do it for each other. So they take a lot of pride in never giving up, and I'm proud to have coached them.
Coach, you opened up the year with wins over Webster City and Kemper, and then got into the Hawkeye 10 with a matchup with a really good Storm Lake team kind of in the mix, dropped 4 in a row, but then came back right before the Christmas break. You win over at Ballard, first time in probably close to 20 years, and then you win against Bondurant Farrar heading into the break. Was it then you realized what the type of team was that you could have this year, or when did this team kind of start to become that team that you had at the end of the year?
Yeah, I think when we beat Ballard, they understood, that, hey, all this, yes, we lost 4 in a row. Yeah, it was a tough stretch, but they, like I said, they're gritty and they came every day and they were willing to get better. We were checking boxes at that time, all right, we got to be better at boxing out, check. We got to be better at guarding on ball, check. We've got to fix this. And they were willing to do that. And I think it started to show from last summer going to team camps until, last Saturday, these girls improved immensely. And it just makes me excited about next year.
Coach, what was it like in practice then to be able to coach a group that sounded like they sponged in whatever you and your staff wanted to teach them?
It was fun. There weren't battles. We didn't have a ton of issues. We just said, you know what, we're not okay with, loss after loss after loss. This is not the kind of team we want to be. So they were fine with digging in and getting better. That's the only, it's that, or, continue to struggle. So they embrace that and embrace the process, I guess, to use a probably overused term.
You win 6 of 8, they're late in the season. What was the confidence like for this group at that time? And you mentioned here earlier the growth that you had from, the fall camps until, the end of the season. What were the areas you felt like this team got, grew the most at?
Probably just taking care of the ball. We didn't mind if anybody pressed us. That's fine. We don't mind scoring out of our press breaker. In fact, sometimes we were better at that than scoring in the half court. They learned to take better care of the ball. They learned to time manage our possessions a little bit better. And I think defensively we were able to pull off some game plans at the end of the season that we could not have at the beginning.
Was the Ballard game before the break the best game, or was there a game later in the year where even if you didn't come up with a win that you felt like your team played as well as they were maybe capable of?
Right. I think Ballard before the break was probably our best game against a man defense. We were kind of able to capitalize on our size and mismatches and things. And then we beat, in February 6th, we beat Carlisle, which they were second in the conference. And that was a huge win. These girls were becoming aware, towards the end of the season of what they're capable of. And it was just really fun to be a part of that.
Was there much of a celebration after the Carlisle win, or had this group kind of gotten to that point where it's like it was expected?
No, there was a celebration. To be honest with you, Jeff, it was a blur because it's in there where we played like 5 games in 7 days or 8, 6 games in 8 days or something. I don't know. We had a million games in a short stretch there, just because of all the snow makeups and things. So it's kind of a blur, but I mean, it was just kind of fun to during that time. You can't prep a lot. It's just kind of fun to just roll it out and play. Like, all right, this is what we don't have time to put in to go over all their plays or, do an in-depth scouting report. We're just going to go play. And so we, pulling off that win during that time was huge.
You mentioned the snow. There was about a 2-week stretch where really hardly anybody got any games in. How much do you think that impacted the season on a negative or on a positive way for this group?
I'm not big on making excuses, but just realistically, I think it was tough for us. We had 2 weeks where we didn't play. Well, I guess a week and a half where we didn't have a game, and we were playing pretty well at that point. So I think it was hard to just continue to practice, and not have those learning moments, those little challenges that games bring you. But we got them in. My goodness, we were by the end of January we were nonstop playing. So.
Coach, you mentioned a couple of times how you excited you are for the future. Just 2 seniors on this group. One a starter, and Molly Feld, did a lot of the small things, defended extremely well for you. I don't think her value was noticed by people probably that don't really know the game a little bit. And then, you look at Bailey Schulte, gave you some really good minutes off of the bench before being injured late in the season and not being able to see the floor there at the end of the year. But 2 terrific young ladies that I think were really important to this ball club.
Absolutely. We'll definitely miss them. I think you mentioned Molly being a great defender and a leader and doing some of those little things. Same with Bailey. They did a great job leading this team this year. And it's just the little things that they were willing to take on. But the biggest thing about those 2 is they are 2 of the toughest girls I've ever coached. Just physically and mentally, very, very, very tough. So they've set a good example for the younger ones.
Coach, then you get all those players come back. I'm just going to run through girls that saw the floor for you somewhat regularly this year. Jersey Sporer coming off of the bench. Caitlin Aiden, of course, is starter. Sophia Tidgren, just a junior and a really good shooter. Carly Menken, a force kind of inside for you. Olivia Rowetter, just a terrific player for you as well. And then you had both Chloe and Allie Cook that, just freshman and sophomore in the future. Really, really sharp for them. Those are just the girls that saw the court kind of on a regular basis. So that's a lot of talent coming back.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I said, I'm excited about next season. I mentioned to all of them, we do some postseason individual meetings, and I mentioned to all of them that we're going to push it this summer and see if we can't, grow quite a bit before the season starts and just give ourselves a little bit of an edge. And they're all willing to do that. It's such a good nucleus, so many good athletes in the mix there, and also some promising girls that were freshmen this year that didn't get to get on the varsity floor. So they're willing to get in and improve over the summer and be ready when November comes around.
What are the areas you feel the girls need to work on to be ready for next year and take that next step forward?
Well, I think we need to improve our field goal percentage. So I'd like to work on our touch around the rim. I think we have some athletes that are capable of pulling off, some maybe adding some more tools to their toolbox. Some more moves. We've got to turn some mostly post players maybe into more of a guard. I wouldn't mind getting Caitlin off the ball once in a while, let somebody else run point. So maybe it'll free her up a little bit on the wing. So there's a long list, Jeff, but we've got some time.
Yeah, and you will get to everything, right, Coach? You'll work through that list like it sounds like you did this year.
Heck yeah. We'll be there all night, but we'll get through it.
Well, Coach, we thank you for everything. You always post stats on Varsity Bound. Doesn't matter if you're in Carlisle or North Polk or where the road trip. So we certainly appreciate that very, very much. And we thank you for taking the time to sit down with us every Saturday morning throughout the season and talk about how the week's gone and kind of peek ahead at what you had coming up. So we thank you very much for all of the time and excited about the future and excited about next year. So thank you and looking forward to the future.
Thank you, Jeff. You guys do a great job.
You bet. Head coach Katie Cook again with the Carroll Girls basketball team. We'll be back with more of the Pizza Ranch Coaches Show right here on KCIM.
Here at Pizza Ranch, we love our basketball. Just like you love everyone's favorite buffet. Hot, fresh pizza, the country's best chicken, fresh, cool salad bar, and dessert options that are so good, it's like sinking the winning shot at the buzzer. Pizza Ranch is a perfect meal option every day of the week. And to make it even sweeter, we have extended hours every Friday, Saturday, and Sunday from 11 a.m. to 8 p.m.
Whoa, that's good.
Pizza Ranch, located just off Highway 30 in Carroll, open 7 days a week.
Thank you very much for joining us here for our Pizza Ranch Coaches Show on this Saturday morning. Again, everybody, mention Kemper boys basketball tonight. They're taking on Grundy Center in that Sub-State 6 final tonight for Class 2A. I'll have the broadcast along with Doug Waniger tonight. 7:30 is the tip time for that game. Not 7 o'clock. 7:30 is the start time, the tip time for that game tonight. We'll go on with pregame coverage at around 7:10 this evening. So, again, Kemper Grundy Center basketball on Kick 106.7 with me and Doug Waniger tonight from Boone, beginning at about 7:10 with the pregame tip-off at 7:30. Want to thank Sean Minahan, Randy Beeson, and Katie Cook for joining us this week, and want to thank all of our coaches all the way back through the fall and through the winter sports season. Thanks to you for tuning in each and every Saturday morning since August for our Pizza Ranch Coaches Show, and thanks to our sponsor as well, Pizza Ranch. We'll talk to you from over in Boone later today. Have a great weekend, everybody.